Tesla stock is down about 5% today following the jobs report. In fact, markets actually rallied when the jobs report came out, and then throughout the day today, markets sold off big time, kind of as I expected. And what's actually pretty interesting, we do have a lot of Tesla news to go over as well that is not having any kind of positive effect on Tesla. Markets are squarely focused on the jobs report, in which the headline numbers don't look too bad, especially the unemployment rate that did tick down from 4.3% to 4.2%. The worry was that maybe the unemployment rate would go up again, and markets were expecting it to fall. If we were to have seen the unemployment rate go up, I thought there was a chance we could have a 5+% down day. Like if we got another big jump in the unemployment rate, that would have been really bad. In fact, that did not happen. But when you look under the surface, it wasn't much improvement either, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. Non-farm payrolls, the headline number itself came in at 142,000 job ads, missing estimates for 165,000 job ads. You also seen a big downward revision from last month's 114,000 jobs, downwardly revised to 89,000 jobs. So how strong is it really if we're just going to be revised again? And that's kind of what Wall Street is saying today. Liz Young Thomas on X says 142,000 jobs were added in August, below the estimate of 165,000. Some revision from whatever weather effects that were last month, as the unemployment rate ticked down from 4.3% to 4.2%. In parentheses here, really it went from 4.26% down to 4.22%. Not rounded, while hours worked rebounded. As Peter Burskin says on X, he is the head of BCA research, unrounded, the unemployment rate fell 0.03%. So really, in the grand scope of things, this was not much of an improvement. It's marginal at best. And I think Wall Street was looking for a decisive jobs report, a decisive unemployment rate that suggested a soft landing. This really didn't suggest much, from the unemployment rate itself barely falling and the jobs number missing. Overall, this is a net negative for markets. As Nick Timmerhouse writes on X, there was a decent chance the jobs report would provide an obvious signal on the size of the first cut, and futures market pricing would move to 90% right way for either 25 or 50. Instead, this report doesn't really resolve the tactical question, and the pricing is at 50-50 for a 25 or 50 basis point cut. The headline figures weren't bad enough to make 50 the base case, but in light of the revisions, it wasn't good enough to convincingly and cleanly douse speculation of a larger cut. You can also see in this report, U.S. full-time jobs declined by a massive 1 million year over year in August. The number of full-time jobs fell from 134 million in August 2024 or 2023 down to 133 million in August of 2024. At the same time, part-time jobs increased by 1 million. This is not a strong labor market. So we're basically just replacing full-time jobs with part-time jobs. You can also see here via Zero Hedge's X account, foreign-born workers up 635,000 in August. Native-born workers, negative 1.325 million in August. So yes, 1.3 million native-born Americans lost a job in August. And here you can see another way to represent this. Full-time employment in blue fell 438,000 in August. Part-time employment in orange was up 527,000. So again, was this a strong report? Clearly not. And this is why equity markets are selling off. This, in fact, reiterates more of a weakening in the labor market, even though your unemployment rate on the rounded basis did fall. It really wasn't good. You also see as well the number of permanent job losers who are not temporarily laid off rises again in August, as Peter Burson says, the single most important line in the household survey. Fed Williams says today jobs data is consistent with a cooling economy. He also says, I want to look at the latest jobs report data more closely. Again, some of the things we're talking about, the full-time employment that is cratering, the native-born Americans that are losing their jobs at a really unprecedented pace in recent years. Also, the unemployment rate that barely moved lower. I mean, if you look under the surface, this jobs report was really bad. Fed Williams also says today risks to the outlook include further weakening in the jobs market. He also says monetary policy can be moved to more neutral stance depending on the data. San Francisco Fed President Mary Daly said this about the labor market, quote, "I'm watching it extremely carefully because any additional slowing would be unwelcomed, and we don't want to wait until we see it because then it's too late." But she adds, "My expectation is the labor market will continue to look healthy, not fragile." We can also see the SOM rule, which was debated last month whether or not it was triggered, has officially triggered. The SOM rule is now at 0.57, well above the 0.5 threshold. Fed Waller says, "I will be an advocate for front-loading rate cuts if that is appropriate." But he says those decisions will be determined by new data. Presumably, that does not include today's data. He says, "While I expect these cuts will be done carefully as the economy and employment continue to grow, in the context of stable inflation, I stand ready to act promptly to support the economy as needed." And now the markets are pricing in a 67% chance of a 50 basis point cut after Waller's comments today. And finally, he says, "I would also cut at consecutive meetings if data calls for it, as I would be for larger cuts if needed." I think those comments from Waller are important because he's the last Fed speaker we're going to hear from until September 18th. So there is a bit of job owning here from the Fed. We are now entering the Fed's 2-week pre-meeting blackout period. Now let's get into a little bit of Tesla stock news, and let's start here. Holmar's catalog says, "Your robotaxi has arrived." Elon Musk says, "Yup." And that's what's so exciting about October 10th. It's looking increasingly like we're actually going to get the first robotaxi ride on October 10th. And that should get Wall Street pretty excited about Tesla stock. Former head of Tesla AI, Andrej Karpathy, says he's very bullish on Tesla.
Staying for a minute in the self-driving space, I think people think that Waymo is ahead of Tesla. I think personally Tesla is ahead of Waymo, and I know it doesn't look like that, but I'm still very bullish on Tesla and its self-driving program. I think that Tesla has a software problem, and I think Waymo has a hardware problem, is the way I put it. And I think software problems are much easier. Tesla has a deployment of all these cars on Earth, like at scale. And I think Waymo needs to get there. And so the moment Tesla sort of like gets to the point where they can actually deploy this and it actually works, I think it's going to be, really incredible. The latest builds I just drove yesterday, I mean, it's just driving me all over the place now. They've made like really good improvements, I would say very recently.
Yeah, I've been using it a lot recently and it actually works quite well. So,
it did some miraculous driving for me yesterday, so I'm very impressed with what the team is doing. And so I still think that Tesla mostly has a software problem, Waymo mostly hardware problem. So I think Tesla, Waymo looks like it's winning kind of right now, but I think when we look in 10 years and who's actually at scale and where most of the revenue is coming from, I still think they're ahead in that sense.
And Tesla has secured 4 new Tesla Megapack orders worth a combined $450 million in Georgia, United States. Georgia Power secured a battery and equipment supply agreement, BESA, with Tesla for a 500 megawatt hour, 2,500 megawatts, 2,000 megawatt hour BESS portfolio made up of 4 projects of varying sizes under development by the investor-owned utility. Tesla's new referral program has launched in Germany and the UK. Time magazine released their most influential people in AI in 2024. Elon Musk somehow not on the list. You love mainstream media, huh? They give you the I guess the most flawed perspective on reality most of the time. Elon Musk says magazines do not establish relevance. History does. Like, it's actually funny because most of these people on this list, like, you don't even know who they are, right? Who's this guy? Who's this guy? Who's this guy? I mean, this guy? I mean, it's almost a joke Elon's not on there. Tesla arrives in Lithuania. Quote, meet the Model Y and the Model 3 at the Akropolis shopping center in Vilnius to learn more about Tesla's mission to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. And we now have 26 newly built Tesla semis next to Giga Nevada. It's being reported that Intel is considering selling at least part of its stake in its struggling automated driving systems provider, Mobileye, as part of a major strategy overhaul, according to Bloomberg. Toyota has slashed its electric vehicle production plans for 2026 by a third. The company now plans to build 1 million EVs in 2026, compared with the company's earlier announced sales target of 1.5 million. Option activity in Tesla stock today is on the low side. You have 46 different trades, which is definitely high, totaling $13.42 million on the higher end side, with a positive order value of 35%. That is on the more negative side. Tesla's short interest of free float sitting at 2.95%. You have almost $19 billion currently sold short in Tesla stock, totaling 82.06 million shares. You can see we have return shares today of 264,000. Borrowed shares of 3.37 million. So you're seeing a lot of shorting activity today, which is really something that we don't see too often these days for Tesla. We've seen more shorts covering in recent weeks than new short positions being taken out. Over on StockTwits, sentiment today for Tesla is neutral at 53. Yesterday it was bearish at 25. Message volume today is high at 74. Down a little bit from yesterday at extremely high at 76, and participation ratio today is high at 55. Google Trends data for the Cybertruck is falling to 51, the Model Y is at 24, the Model 3 is at 22, the Model S is at 9, and the Model X is at 8. These are not super impressive numbers, but they are trending pretty good. Tesla continues to run about 4,000 different ads with Google, and Tesla's global inventory numbers, while have fallen recently, did see a little bit of an uptick on the Model Y of about 300 vehicles in global inventories. That was the uptick at least. You're currently sitting at about 6,000 vehicles for the Model Y in global inventory. The Model 3 at about 5,400, the Model X at 4,000, and the Model S at 2,700. The percent of stocks currently trading above their 50-day moving average is at 49.83%. You do have about 2% of stocks today falling below their 50-day moving average. And CNN's Fear and Greed Index taking quite a large move lower from yesterday. It was neutral at 46, now in fear territory at 39. And Tesla stock on a technical basis, really you want to see support start to come in here at about 217 or 216. That is where this downtrending line of resistance, which hopefully turns into support, is. This is connecting all the prior, peaks in Tesla and including the all-time high. If you can stay above this level, find support here, that is a great sign. But honestly, with the move that we're seeing today in markets, with the jobs report that just came in bad, heading into the first cut from the Fed, where a lot of Wall Street is starting to say, hey, we're going to sell that first cut, I'm not very confident we're going to stay above this trend line. If we do, that's great, but I'm not expecting we will. In the next video, I will break this down a little bit more in depth, where Tesla stock could be going next and what to expect throughout the month of September, because as I've said many times here on this channel, the jobs report that we got today was going to be the biggest driving factor of September. So with that said, let me know what you think about all of this information down below in the comment section. Hit the like button as well as subscribe to the channel. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.